Good evening. I'd like to call the City Council meeting from the City of Waterville for Monday, March 10th, 2025 to order. And I would ask, I guess I'm going to lead us in the prayer. Loving God, as we come together tonight for the City of Waterville, we pause to ask you to be with us and guide our way. May your spirit of peace surround all we say and do this evening. We ask for your strength to do what is best for the good of Waterville. Lord God, as servants of your people, we pray that you grant us a share of your wisdom. Amen.
Amen.
I'd ask Council Member Anthony Bruno to lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and I'd ask the clerk to take roll call.
Here.
Mr. Borowski.
Here.
Mr. Garber. Mayor Pedro.
Here.
Mr. Wagner.
Here.
Mr. Rosick.
Here.
Mr. Bruno.
Here.
I received a message from Tony Garber, Councilmember Tony Garber. He was unable to be with us tonight, so I move that we excuse him from tonight's meeting. I need a second.
Second.
Second, Mary Duncan. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? All righty. Thank you. Next, we have a special presentation tonight. We have members from the Lucas County Board of Developmental Disabilities with us tonight, Michelle Meyerholtz. Michelle, if you'd like to go to the podium and state your name and address, and certainly any comments you want to offer.
Michelle Meyerholtz, and my work address is 1154 Lark Lane, Toledo, Ohio 43614. I am a White House resident. I don't know if you need that.
That's right. we like White House residents.
Forgive me for that. But I appreciate council having me here tonight. The proclamation recognizing March as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. It's very important to recognize things like this. It is a national recognition, and the purpose is really, it's about awareness, but to us in Lucas County, we're trying to really move past awareness and into acceptance. We believe all people, regardless of ability, should be included fully in their community, viewed as contributing members of society. We all have things that we can contribute. People with disabilities are just like any of the rest of us. They have strengths, weaknesses, goals, dreams, all of that. And so it's important to recognize that and really work to increase that acceptance. And in order to do that, we all have to do that together. And so doing things like this, kind of bringing more awareness to the communities, is really important to us. And so we appreciate your support.
Okay. Council, any comments or questions?
I know I spoke with you earlier before the meeting, and I just want to say thank you for coming out here. My mom works for developmental disabilities and has been a social worker for a long time, since the mid-90s, and just want to say thank you for coming out.
Yeah, thanks.
Anyone else?
Just a few words, if you could, about what the board does and how it works for the various communities and organizations.
So the boards of developmental disabilities in the state of Ohio, we serve individuals from birth through potentially end of life, and we're the only agency, kind of government agency, if you will, that does that. And so our mission, at least in Lucas County, is to improve life so that individuals with disabilities can reach their full potential, whatever that looks like for them. Just like all of us, that we have different goals and dreams for ourselves and needs, we work with the individuals that we serve to identify what those needs are, and then we work to find those needs, whether it's a community resource, whether it's funding through us, that we use our local levy tax dollars, and we use those to pull in federal Medicaid funds. We operate Special Olympics So most people have heard of Special Olympics. There is a myriad of things we can do to help individuals. And so it's kind of our job to be the jack of all trades, if you will. We figure it out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wayne?
No, thank you for coming out tonight and educating me a little bit more about what you guys do. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So, a couple things. My son lives in Columbus, and he was very involved, is very involved in the Special Olympics for the last 7 years. Matter of fact, I come to Bowling Green. They didn't come this past year, but he'd been there a couple of times. Michael is the one I'm referring to. And then secondly, I also used to work for what now is called the Ability Center, Greater Toledo. It used to be Toledo Society for the Handicapped. So have had an experience working with that population. And I think you're right. It's just a matter of giving everyone an opportunity. And to that end, our council and a special committee was born just about 7-8 months ago. We are in the process of planning and building an inclusive park. There's a lot of pieces of the puzzle that still have to fall into play, but we're working towards it, and this will be another benefit for kids with disabilities here in our community. So I'd like to read a proclamation that the council has asked that we prepare. Whereas people with developmental disabilities come from diverse racial, ethnic, educational, social, religious, and economic backgrounds, and are valuable members of the society who strive to enjoy everyday life. And whereas people with developmental disabilities and their families are working for inclusion, equality, recognition, and appreciation of their skills, views, abilities, and conditions like all residents of the city of Waterville. And whereas direct support professionals are committed and essential to providing support to people with developmental disabilities to connect their communities throughout Ohio. And whereas the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities, the Lucas County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and other local boards, as well as the service providers, partner to support more than 95,000 Ohioans with developmental disabilities across the state of Ohio. And whereas there is a significant need to increase awareness, education, and support of individuals with disabilities, with developmental disabilities, their families, and the communities which support them. Now, therefore, I, Timothy G. Pedro, as mayor of the great city of Waterville, do hereby proclaim March 2025 as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month in the city of Waterville, and urge all residents to recognize the many accomplishments and contributions made by those with developmental disabilities and support those with a developmental disability and their families in all aspects of our community and life. In witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause to be affixed to the great seal of the city of Waterville on this 10th day of March 2025. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll sign this, and you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but you don't have to.
I would like to say, I know you and I talked at the TARTA event
Oh, yes.
and about the playground, and certainly if there's any way that we can help or partner with you guys, we would be more than willing to.
Good,
I think I gave you my card.
Yeah, you did. I
Yeah.
remember that. We're still gathering lots of data, but ironically, we have a meeting tomorrow night, and how timely, because we're gaining that grassroots support. But thanks for the offer. I'm going to sign this, and then you can take it with you.
Wonderful, thank you.
Could I ask just one more question, because the mayor mentioned the Ability Center. What's the relationship between the board and the Ability Center then?
There's actually quite a bit of partnership between us. The Ability Center, they have some different programming. They're more like a community resource that's available for individuals. They have the Support Dogs program. They do different kind of independent living skills type classes. And I don't want to diminish all of the number of things that they do, but so they're like a community resource that folks can access. They don't really offer funding or case management or that kind of thing. We are the government entity that's responsible to ensure health and safety and to write service plans that will then meet the needs and then put forth the funding that is needed to pay for those services, basically.
Yeah, good, thank you. Thanks for that explanation.
Thank you, and here you be. Thanks for all you do. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Alrighty, we will move on with our agenda. Our next agenda item is the approval of the minutes from our regular council meeting from February 24th, 2025. You all had a chance to receive the minutes, read them over, and I would ask if you have any comments or who made the motion to accept the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
And that's been moved by Mr. Browse. You need a second?
Second.
Second, Anthony Bruno. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? And the minutes pass. Next is citizens' comments. We did have a presentation from the Development Disability Organization, Lucas County. Anybody else? I did not get any other sheets. Okay. We will move on to staff reports. John, our administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. Council has a copy of my report. I wanted to mention that the comprehensive plan, we're getting, I guess, down near the end, and I did have a conversation with our consultant about using the results of the city's updated comprehensive plan and revising our zoning code to reflect the priorities of the residents and the people who provided input on the comprehensive plan. So that would be starting later in the year, and if council remembers, we have a moratorium on self-storage units and car washes, and so that's the time to kind of get into the zoning code and look at what's existing and what we want to add or maybe change or what we want to keep. So council will be seeing a proposal from our consultant on the updating of our zoning code. When we get closer to the end of the comprehensive plan update, the consultant will have a presentation for council, and you can hear the results, I guess you could say. So, and then I also had I did meet with representatives of ODOT and the Lucas County Engineer's Office on our extension of our shared use path between Dutch Road and the Anthony Wayne Trail. That looks like construction in 2027. The county engineer is working on a roundabout design. I think I've mentioned that. It's also been in the paper. That project's looking at a 2028 construction date. So we're kind of taking a look at how we make those two projects connect, and you know, we want to make sure that the shared use path connects to the roundabout, and so we're looking at planning there. If council has any other questions.
We'll start with Vice Mayor Duncan. Any comments or questions?
No questions this evening, thank you.
Todd?
All good, thank you, Mayor.
All good.
John?
That's the shared use path from Canal to Dutch?
Right.
Okay, yeah, and that'll still be on the same side of the.
Correct.
of the road, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we will move on to our finance director, which is being served by Mr. Kokenhour. I almost said the other guy's name, but I did not.
Thank you, Mayor. Council has a copy of the end of the month report for January 2025. We ended the month of January 2025 with a cash balance of $12,023,627. We have our check report. I know we had some large checks. this is typically the time of the year when we renew licenses and things like that for the whole year, so there's some things in there. In that regard, we paid, some project costs from 2024, so we have some, final payments in there for that. We pay a property tax, believe it or not, on some of our property that produces income, so, you know, we have to pay our property tax like everybody else. So that's in there. And then, the read report is also enclosed, for January 2025. And I think I did mention this at the last meeting, but we had a collection in January of $474,295. And that was $124,398 more than we collected in January of 2024. So I guess we're off to a good start in 2025.
Questions, council? Alrighty, and then our treasurer.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. Very brief report tonight. I've always said January is a little too early to notice any trends in the year, but as John mentioned, a little over $12 million in cash. And if you look at my report, you can see every major fund that we're looking at is above where we were in January of last year. So as John mentioned, I think we're off to a good start. That's the end of my report.
Comments, questions for Steve?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
And next is communication from council members. We'll start with Mr. Bruno.
Just wanted to make mention that last Tuesday, we had a Parks and Recreation meeting. We talked about our annual cleanup day, and this year we're gonna do it in Waterworks Park. We have some projects planned there. We're gonna be doing that in May, I believe, right? May? Okay. And then also we'll be conducting some analysis of each park within the city, and just kind of moving forward on setting up kind of like a priority list of which ones are being used the most, which ones are being, and when we say used the most, people walking. We talked about Parker being probably going to end up being more of a park that, granted, people are going to go down there to sit by the river and whatnot, but we're looking at it as that park seems like it's going to be the host park to a lot of events in Waterville. So just kind of analyzing and figuring out where certain funds should go moving forward into the years.
Okay, thank you. John Roldick.
Mayor, I guess the ice skating season is probably over. So I just wanted to thank the citizens who organized developing the ice rink. I don't skate, so I don't know for sure, but I think it was well used and well received by the community. So hopefully we'll have good weather next year and we can have another ice rink.
No report today.
Todd?
No report.
No
Mary.
report this evening.
Have a couple items. Talked about the ice rink, and again, thanks to all the folks that participated. We got some ideas for next year to maybe make some more improvements, so look for that. Want to acknowledge officially the Anthony Wayne girls basketball team. They won their semi-final yesterday, and now they're on to the state tournament this Friday. And I know yesterday, Sunday, they left Anthony Wayne High School, went through White House, and came down to Waterville. There was a little bit of a send-off, so I'm sure plans are underway for this week, that to happen on Friday. The game's at 7 or 7:30, so look for some information to come out a little bit later on when they plan to leave the high school and probably go through White House and obviously come to Waterville. Additionally, I was at a committee meeting. You've heard us talk about, Mr. Weber has been here a few times on the Rooster Bluff Bridge, and some ideas that possibly there could be some alternatives. They're still finalizing some of those details, but there was 2 meetings last week and a phone conversation on some steps that could come to fruition. I would say probably by the next meeting of council, there might be some more specific ideas and timelines to accomplish some of the tasks at hand. You've heard me talk about roads and bridges and whatnot for our community. The other piece that I'm wanting council to look about and the citizens to be considerate about is economic development for our community. I think council has a responsibility to look 5, 10, 15, even 20 years out on where we would like to see some potential businesses in our community. I mentioned to you last meeting, Kaufman Engineering Systems is going to announce a tremendous expansion at their facility at the end of March. Council, you will be invited to a groundbreaking ceremony. The date and time is still being finalized, but I suspect by the end of this week that'll be in play. And they are a good corporate citizen, as well as many other businesses in our community. But we need that kind of growth of businesses to offset the costs in our community. That's all I have for right now. All right, we will move on to old business. There is none. And now we'll move on to new business. This is an ordinance number 0125.
Tim, you want to do the appointment first?
Good point. You guys are paying attention. I like that. I like that.
Didn't want you to forget.
Yeah. So before we go to old business, there is some communications from council members. We did that. Now there's an appointment for a member of our tree commission, and that gentleman's name is Merle Willem.
Nope.
Andrew Sherman, Merle is expired.
Merle left.
Oh, excuse me. So the tree commission for Andrew Sherman is coming up, and we'd like to appoint Andrew Sherman to the tree commission. So I need a motion.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Second. Any more discussion?
I do. So Wayne and I actually had a chance to meet Andrew, and you know, we do have a great tree commission. Our committee loves our city and our trees, and I think Andrew's going to be a great asset to that team. You know, we had a chance to talk to him about, you know, what he's done with his own property, his rental properties, and his some of the tree trimming he's done, and we're excited. I know I am, and Wayne, you are, to have him on the tree commission. So, thank you, Mayor.
Good. Just another example of volunteers coming forward and wanting to help our community. So it's been moved and seconded to appoint Andrew Sherman to the tree commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, he is on the committee.
Okay.
Next, we'll go to old business, which there is none. And now we'll move on to new business. And this is ordinance number 0125, an ordinance amending the ordinance 1124, the fiscal year 2025 annual appropriation ordinance, and declaring an emergency. John, would you please elaborate?
Thank you, Mayor. This is our first budget amendment to the 2025 appropriation. Kind of unusual to do it so early in the year, but we had some unusual things happen, I guess you could say. We had a driver that damaged Parker Square, and their insurance company is reimbursing us for a portion of for the damage, the estimate that we got to fix the damage. So that's part of this amendment, and then of course the cost to proceed with those repairs. And then recently council approved a change order from the 2024 paving program that you know, we had to pay out of the 2025 program, so we have to have a budget amendment for that. And then probably the reason for our budget amendment is we received an invoice from Lucas County for debt service, a new debt service for the work at the sewer plant. And maybe you haven't noticed, but if you look at the last page of the operating budget for 2025, at the very end of the budget, we've been budgeting for this debt since 2022. And we haven't got a bill from the county, and now they finally sent us a bill, and it was more than they said it was gonna cost, so we have to add a little bit to the budget there, but if you look at the budget, you'll see that we've budgeted for it every year, and we haven't, got a bill on that yet. So the bill is coming due, as they say, so we have to, add a little bit to the, current appropriation to pay for the, added debt service, from Lucas County for the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay, thank you. I move that the rules be suspended to allow for the passage of ordinance number 0125 as emergency measure.
Second.
Second, John Rozak. Roll call?
Yes.
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 Thank you. I move for the final passage of ordinance number 0125, first and final reading as emergency measure.
Second.
Second, John Rozak. Roll call?
Yes.
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 And that passes, all right. Next is resolution 1225, a resolution amending the City of Waterville Public Records Policy for video public records requests from the police department. John, could you please explain further on that?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a amendment to the city's public records policy in regard to copies of videos from the police department. Recently, the Ohio legislature passed House Bill 315, which allows local governments to include in their public records policies the requirement that a requester pay the estimated cost of the actual producing of a copy of a video before it's produced. And so this new law would allow us to provide someone with an estimate saying that, you know, it's gonna cost, we believe it's gonna cost so much, and then it cannot exceed $750 or $75 an hour. So this, since it is it's kind of a time-consuming, tedious thing, and when you're releasing a video record, there are a lot of things that you might have to redact. So it does take some time to do, and I think this is a recognition by the state that, you know, it is time-consuming. It takes a lot of time, and it does have quite a bit of expense in comparison to regular public records requests that maybe it takes a lot of time, but if it involves paper records or things like that. So the change would be that it would be $75 per hour. It cannot exceed a total cost of $750. The cost of the media, if it was a CD or a thumb drive, would have to be reimbursed, and that's $10. And we would provide an estimate, you know, and it couldn't exceed $750 in cost. And so the police department has had some experience of making videos for people, and then they don't come and pick them up. And so if someone really wants a copy, we'll give them an estimate of what it's going to cost and produce the video copy that they're requesting, and you know, that way it does acknowledge the city's time and expense in doing this, because again, it's not an ordinary public record that we can just make a paper copy of or email a copy to somebody at no cost.
Hey, John, is there any way to, like, as you know, initially I was like, no, there shouldn't be any charge for any public request, and then I thought about it, and I'm thinking, okay, I mean, an FT, for our police department to do this, 75 is very reasonable. Mm-hmm. And I think I think we've experienced, all of us, over the past 2 years, all of the requests that have been, you know, requested with the city, and nothing has come of it. So the past 15 minutes or so, I've been thinking about this. Can we do two things? Can we raise it to 1,500 or 2,000, not to exceed that, because some of these requests have been quite extensive? And two, can we put a clause in there that would say if someone was to request this, we give them an estimate, they get charged with with something they feel they didn't do, request it. If they come back to us with a not guilty win in court, can they request a refund? Is that something we can do or no?
No, I wouldn't think so. I mean, I guess, you know, we're just providing a record. We're not, they're guilty, or they're innocent until proven guilty, and that's not, you know, our duty to
Okay.
decide that. And then there is a cap, so we can't exceed, by statute, Ohio law, $750 or $75 an hour.
Okay, okay.
So would this be I guess because I'm kind of confused about it. So like in a traffic stop, like an attorney wouldn't have to pay to get this, would they? Isn't this given to a judge?
They would have to pay for it.
Okay.
And I guess, for example, I guess just a normal stop or a normal video might be 2 hours long, so the officer has to review the video and redact anything and make sure. And then what we like to do, based on our past experience, we have 2 people review it, because if somebody misses something, then, you know, we don't want to be accused of not being thorough. So we usually have a second person review it and say, checked by so-and-so. So, you know, we would have 2 people review it, and then the cost of putting it on a disc or thumb drive or something like that. And it's not something that, you know, we do that much of, but on the other hand, it does take quite a while to do. You know, I would say on average, I would think it would be no more than 2 hours on a normal misdemeanor type of video. I wouldn't see why it would be more than that, but at least I just think this does acknowledge the time and effort that you have to do to produce these copies.
And these, you said these charges are set by statute, John?
Right, we can charge less than the statute,
Less,
but
of course
we
not,
can't
but
charge more.
Right. Are they adjusted for inflation?
I guess the legislature would have to do that,
Yeah.
and I know that they have kind of thought ahead in certain aspects, like public bidding. I guess there's a provision in the revised code that says it can go up if it's inflationary or something like that. If the state legislature decides to do that, they can do that. But we can charge less, we can't charge more.
Can't charge more, right.
And
I'm just thinking 10 years from now, 750 might not cover it 10 years from now.
probably not.
Yeah.
John, is this John Rosick, is it pretty normal for somebody to request records, media, whether it's the city or state or whatever, and get charged for it?
And get charged for it?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's city by city, probably, whatever the policy of each city is.
Okay, but it's not uncommon. You've seen this before, it's not uncommon?
Yeah. Not uncommon.
I guess going along your lines, Todd, is if they're innocent and they're getting and they get the video and then they're proven innocent, they could always come back and say, hey, you know, we're suing you for the cost of the video and for being wrongfully arrested or whatever.
Oh, yeah, that's a
You
good
know,
point.
something to think about.
Well,
And to go along with Tony, or Anthony's, you know, one of those persons maybe be our secretary for the police department. The other, we're literally pulling somebody off patrol.
100%.
Yeah.
Could be out doing better things.
100%,
you know.
especially with our small department.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've kind of looked at it a way too, like with this type of thing, you know, it's nice that there's a cost associated with it, just because there's certain time and place for people to pull this, maybe in defense of something, but to just call out of nowhere to get something. I mean, I've said for years, I don't know why Aries and Lucas County lien search is free. I think
Right.
that should be $50 to assess. And some counties in different states, like South Carolina, for property records, it's like a $25 credit card fee online. You can't just look up 19 million people to see what they own, you
Right.
know, just to be nosy. So, I don't know. I think that if there's intent and reason to pull records on people, there should be a cost with it, just to make sure that the person's serious and not just having fun learning about someone.
Good talk.
Alrighty. John explained the resolution 12:25. I need a motion to accept that.
So moved.
So moved. Wayne Wagner, need a second?
Second.
Second, Anthony Bruno. Any more discussion? Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
Last item on the agenda is other information or unscheduled business. I have one item, but I'll start with Mary Duncan.
Nothing tonight.
Todd?
Nothing tonight.
Wayne?
I have nothing.
John?
Nope, thank you, Mayor.
Then I'm gonna ask John to help me out. Lucas County Auditor is coming to the city to review property values, and I don't remember the exact date. I think it's in your notes, John.
26 from noon to 7.
26, March 26 from
Noon to 7.
noon to 7 p.m. in this room. If you're interested in having your real estate property discussion take place, there'll be professionals here from Lucas County to answer your questions.
And maybe just to be clear, Mayor, since you offered that I would help you with this, that will not result in an adjustment necessarily of the tax value. That there's another process to go through. So I think what they're coming to talk about is how you go through that process and what the value might be or should be or could be. But if you want to object to the valuation, then you have to actually file with the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Good
The
point.
deadline for that is March 31st.
Good point. Alrighty, anything else? I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Todd Borowski, need a second?
Second.
John Rozek, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.